And we're going back to the, oh, hello. We're going back to the WR450 head here. And I just wanted to share this for whatever reason, where we're at. It's raining outside, probably wish I could be riding here, but I wanted to show, I've got 3 of the 5 valves in the head here. And there we are. And I'm going to put the 2 exhaust valves in, and where we're at here is, it's kind of a somewhat of an uncomfortable, at least some of the time, phase here. These Yamahas, it's a little bit more crowded than the DRZs that I'm used to working with here. Let me see here. I've got to look. So I've got, this is an intake valve guide seal, and 2 of them were being kind of naughty, to be honest with you. Yeah, here's an exhaust one, and I have 2 exhaust ones here in this baggie. And what I like to do is I like to soak them a little bit in some oil before I install them. Not much, and I just have this little cap of oil that I have used before. I've used it on the last few DRZ engines that I've built. And it's a little low on oil, and this is always a little bit dangerous here. And I just want to have a little bit extra oil. I might have. I didn't get much out of it. I need to fill her back up. But I got enough in there out of it to be able to accomplish what I'm wanting to. I'm just getting some oil soakage on these. And over here I have these 2 base washers for the exhaust valve spring. And I found that these things, before you put the new valve guide seal in, you want to put them into place. So I have my little magic screwdriver here, lining it up with the, you can't see this probably. I just put the little magic screwdriver into place, and it follows the path of the screwdriver. And I don't know if you can see it or not, but it's down there in place. And the way I laid these out, I don't know if you remember this, was from the top to the bottom. I've already got our 3 ones, left to right. And then, so I'm going to do this one here. I haven't cleaned this valve off since and here's another update. You might see that there's a little bit of Dichem blue on this, so I need to clean that off, and I've removed some material from this valve that was just built up over time. But as a result of using our Dichem blue on our valve seat versus valve relationship, I was able to see that it was making good contact along the valve seat surface, and this valve isn't knifed off and like severely worn. What is that an indication of? For me, it's an indication that somebody did the basic maintenance on this engine and kept the valves shimmed within spec. So let's reiterate here. As the valve, how do I do this without it looking like dirty motion? As the valve comes into contact with the valve seat over and over and over again, the valve stem is over time headed towards the cams. Ever so small amounts, it's headed towards the cams. You have your spring, and then you have your clasps, and then on top of this you have your shim that sits on the top of this. And the distance in which keep the bucket that sits on top of the shim away from the cam when it is not supposed to be in contact with it is based upon the thickness of that shim. As this valve wears, the thickness of that shim that needs to be in place becomes less and less and less and less. If you do this right, that makes it a little bit more work than if you have a rocker style shim or rocker style like adjustment where you can physically do that without removing the cam. Well, you got to remove the cam to do this maintenance, which is a reason why some people skip it. And I'm rambling. So I'm just going to get to it, folks. I'm going to clean this valve off. And I'm just going to use some, I use carbon choke cleaner or I have also brake cleaner. And one of the things about it here is the Dicom blue comes right off. And any remaining carbon and junk on here that is able to go into solution, it goes into solution, and we remove it from this valve. And that's the main thing. You see how it's got the blue here that came off of it? So I'm just wiping that off and cleaning that off. I'm gonna have to put an extra candle or a wax thing in the smelly good thing, because chemicals. And over here in my box with the corresponding component, we're placing our there they are. We're placing our, oh good grief, I got my bucket and all this stuff. Lost my train of thought there, sorry about that. Maybe it's the fumes. So we have our spring, our top spring here, and our piece where our clasps are going to go. But before we go and do anything else, we need to place our valve guide seal. So we have our valve guide seal. It's got a nice amount of oil. And just to help it out a little bit more, I'm just going to daub a little bit of oil, oh yeah, on that seat. And let's see, there's my other tool. And I gotta be careful handling this because it's got some reinforcement, but I'm just placing it to where it'll stick, hopefully, and set on there. And it didn't set on there. But I'm able to manipulate it into place. And I really wish I could zoom on this, but again, the primary thing is of sharing this with you is not necessarily, oh, there it is. And it notably popped into place there. And I'm going to assure that it's seated here. Okay. I set our buckets over here in their order. Set this back down. Now we've got our valve. Again, I'm going to daub a little bit of oil along this stem this valve so that we don't cause damage to that brand new seal. And I'm going to go ahead and locate it. Oh yeah. And so we have our valve in place. So I'm going to check and see if anybody's joined us for the live today. Oh, hello friends. Good job. Thank you. One person. Hello. Hello, said hi. James. Hello. Mr. 07. What is name? I am Jake. Oh, well. Hey Jake, how you doing, buddy? Sorry I'm late. What are we working on today? Brant. Well, Brant, we're working on the WR450, and Jake, this is, and you can go back and look at the lives that we've done on here. I'm doing kind of a live series on this rebuild. Since we're at a moment, oh, okay, we'll go ahead and do it. Since we're at a moment where I can interject here, I'm looking around where I'm at. We're in here because of, where is that thing? It's sitting right over here somewhere. Oh, here it is. This WR450. This is an 06 WR450, and this is the counter shaft. This counter shaft, there's supposed to be splines all the way through this area, and the counter shaft sprocket nut was allowed to back off, and that allowed the sprocket to walk, and it ate the splines. This is a case splitting job, obviously, so we've gone through and removed all the components. We tore this engine down. I noticed that, obviously this is why we're doing this. And when you split the cases, you do all the maintenance and what you need to do, or you don't do it at all. Okay, over here we've got our piston. It appears to be, let's see, it might even be the OEM one. I noticed some scoring, and I apologize for our lighting position, or our lighting predicament here, but let's see. We're looking from this side, so our exhaust. I noticed some scoring on our exhaust side, and our piston corresponded with that. And you can do one of two things. You can have these, you can send it off and you have it replated with silicon nickel carbide, or oh, it's sitting over here. I just gave it a bath. You get a new one. So imagine a brand new one right here in my hands. We have a piston. I have a lot of confidence in the, not everybody does, the hot rods and hot cams, hot this and that, the all balls racing network components. So we've got a Vertex piston, a Cylinder Works cylinder, and we replaced it with a let's see, hot rods crankshaft. That's completely new. We have our I think it was All Balls. I think it was All Balls brand, or I think that's what it was. Ball bearings. We went all the way through the cases. New everything. We got new seals, and I'm really working on this not being too long-winded, but I'm going to show you guys, and then thank you for anybody that's seen this already. We're going to go ahead and turn this on here. Hold on. There we go. This is the third pinion wheel here. And this third pinion wheel here, this interacts with the fifth gear. Oh, hello, Moto. It looks like we are a different language, David. But I appreciate you being along with us. I'll try to understand. You're in the chat here. So this right here was starting to wear. And hold on, stick with me. Stick with me. Where did I put that? Oh, heck. I wasn't really prepared to do this, so bear with me. Where did I put that sucker? You'll just have to bear with me, friends. There's a female side to where this engages and it accepts these cogs or these dogs, okay? And where it engages right here, this broken part, the female side of it, what happens is when you shift in fifth gear and on these WR450s, you're in gear and it'll hit, and then eventually when that stuff happens, it'll go whoop, whoop, and you'll have no fifth gear eventually. So these parts, this is an 06, they revised these, Yamaha revised these parts in 09. Okay, and you get the 09 part. So we have this part new, the female side that I'm illustrating here, and then we also have this slot here, the shift fork. I got a new shift fork because it was showing wear. So that's what we've done so far. So now, I hope that explains what we're doing. Who asked what all's going on here? Oh, hello. Is it Eli? Hello, Eli, if you're still with us. Thanks for joining us today. And we're putting our valves back in our cylinder head. And I don't do this stuff for a living. I'm a hobbyist mechanic, okay? And I've already replaced our 3 intake valves, 1, 2, 3. And one of the things that holds those in place are these little clasps, okay? I'm going to show you. I'm going to show you. It's a little bit of a gamble. If you're in here, make sure and let's see. You see the ridge at the top of that on each of those pieces. Those parts go into the valve. Because there's a female slot for them to go. And that's what holds them into place. This is a little bit of a pain. If you're watching the video now, please interact with the chat. It's been breaking on me. I'm going to stick around here. But these are going to go in here, and this is a super pain. But I've showed all this on here up to this point, and I want you guys to be able to see. All right, I give up on the chat. I'll check back in a minute after I get this installed. And what I've been liking doing, I've done it a few different ways, but these Yamaha ones tend to be kind of small, okay? And so doing it this way, I just like to kind of stage these. My little screwdriver here is magnetic, so I got to be careful with how I do this. So I just got this little half piece in place on this side. I'm going to put this little half piece on the other side. Yeah, it's a little crooked. Yeah. So now it's down in here. I don't know if you can see it or if it's in frame. But now you can see those 2 pieces are in there. So we've got our base piece, we'll just call it washer, in place. We've put a new valve guide seal in here, and we have that in place. Okay. And I'm just checking here. Yeah. Okay. So that's going to go on there. And this is the part where, you know, there's professional tools that are name brand and they cost, you know, accordingly. And now if I was a professional, I would need that tool. I'd probably, because it'd need to be able to stand up to all the abuse of being used very often. And then you have the tool in which I have. That's a professional tool, professional quality. Yeah, that just fell off on me. So, all right, real quick, I'm going to set this off to the side. I have kind of an improvised work surface. And stick around and make sure and ask questions. You can find me on Instagram if you want to send your question or comment privately. Dewey's Garage, DEWEYS_garage. But, you know, yeah, see, that's the thing, is this little divot here that holds it on there. It's not a professional quality tool, so, I mean, sometimes they fall off. So, okay, that's the bottom piece. I'm trying to show you guys what I'm doing. So this top piece comes into contact with the top. Okay, I gotta get it on out here a little farther. It comes into contact with our top component. You might have seen in our previous lives, we installed, or we did some milling on the cylinder head surface to resurface it so it's ready for the new head gasket. Yeah. Okay. So in this bottom piece is coming into contact with the valve. So it's like a big C-clamp. Okay. So I'm making sure our little clasps are in place. And I'm making sure that we're in contact with the valve. And all I'm doing is compressing the valve spring, because it ain't easy to do with your hand strength or even my hand strength. And so the idea is we compress that spring with those pieces in place, and then we back off the valve spring compressor. You can check it and make sure that those little clasps are going into their spot, which it feels like they just did. Okay, it didn't do it perfectly. Or no, it did. Perfectly enough. What I like to do, is I like to come over here manually after the fact and compress it and make sure and seat those really good. Yeah. Okay. Hi there. Hi. Which vehicle engine is that? Yes. This is a WR450 F, a 2006 model. And so we just got this exhaust valve placed, and you can see our little clasps, that's what I'm going to call them, are down here in place. They're doing their thing, and they're happy. Now I've got to do a final cleanup on this, but we're in good shape. So we're going to do one more here on the live. Thanks for interacting with the chat. And if you're new here, my name's Dewey. This is Dewey's Garage. Oh man. Be sure and subscribe to the channel if you're interested in the things in which we're doing here. And if not, I'm not offended. I'm not that sensitive. And we're on the home stretch. Here's our second exhaust valve here. If you're new here and you're interested in what we're doing, I'm doing kind of a live series on this. And you know, I'm not a professional mechanic. I'm not even a real mechanic. I don't know why you're even watching me in the first place. Just kidding, it's fun. I do this as a hobby. This is my friend's dad's WR450, and he's had this. Again, we're retracing our steps. This was the counter shaft. The splines on this sprocket got ate up because the counter shaft sprocket nut was allowed to get loose, and the sprocket walked on the splines and it ate it. And that gives us an opportunity to do maintenance. Some people, you know, when they do a top end, they just put a new piston or, you know, whatever they're doing, and they don't go through the step of removing the valves and putting new valve guides. A lot of times when you have some oil consumption, it's because your valve guides, not necessarily your piston and cylinder. A lot of times it is, they're getting out of spec, they're getting loose. And what I was doing there is cleaning any residual material off of that valve, because I did clean them up a little bit. And we also used some Dykem blue to indicate our contact with the valve seat. What I'm doing is I'm putting this, it's over here. We're putting our base washer on. And over here in my little, I think this is a engine ice cap. There it is. This is our valve guide seal. So we're putting that in place. This surface is running along that valve, keeping the oil side of this cylinder head isolated from the combustion chamber. You know, I just did a basic seating with my pliers there, but the rest of it, I'm going to use my finger to push it down and make sure that it's where it's supposed to be and it's seated there. Okay. Now, out of my oil source here, I'm going to put that on our valve stem. Might even put just a little extra there. Yeah. Because I don't want that, even though I've soaked it in oil, I don't want this initial installation of this valve to mar that new valve guide seal. Okay. Yeah. Slid right through there. That's great. Now, got this final bucket, and then we have our new, or it's our, we're reusing this. It's not got any warpage in this spring. It's not used up. So we have this. And we have our two, I'm calling them clasps. So they're half a circle. Each one is a half. And what we do, I've done this a few different methods here, but on these, this is fairly easy. I'm just placing them in their corresponding positions. Yeah. You see it's half a moon there. And it's got to be these clasps, or the male side of this facing up. Oh. The first one, oh, there we go. The first one in there went in there almost flawlessly. So I'm expecting some resistance. Okay. So you can see I have them both in there, and it looks like they're pretty much evenly put in here. So I'm going to set it into place. And if I was a little bit stronger, I could almost push this down by hand. But rather than allowing that fate, just based upon my strength and callus volume, so to say, I'm going to use my tool. Okay. And it looks like this is the upper. I've got to find my lower piece here. When I set my tool down, I think that it come off. This is an improvised work surface for me because I have a WR450 engine setting on my workbench in the shop. Bear with me, people. I appreciate your patience. Yeah, in the attempts to try to show you everything that I'm doing, it appears this part that goes over here has came off, and I don't know where it went. I'm just going to grab a random different one here to put into place in the meantime, just so we can keep this going. Okay. And this is our valve spring compressor. And this bottom piece is coming into contact. This bottom piece is coming into contact with the valve, keeping it from pushing out of contact with the valve seat. This top piece is giving me access, there we go, to those clasps from the top in case so I can visually inspect and make sure that they're in place. I'm looking here, making sure. The first one went in too easily, and we got the job done too easily. So in my pessimism, I'm expecting a problem. We fumbled a little bit, but not a lot thus far. So we've got, it looks like, I'm going to compress this valve spring just a little bit more so we have the maximum room here. Oh yeah, I think we're good. I think, therefore I know. But yeah, that's what I wanted to do on this live, is put these two valves in and show you my process, how I'm doing it today. Is this a tutorial on how to do it? Absolutely not. This is just Dewey's working, he's doing this, and he may or may not know what he's doing. He probably doesn't know what he's doing. Oh, there's that part I was looking for, hiding in plain sight. Good grief. So again, like the first one, if you've been hanging around with us, I'm going to go back with this tool. Yeah. And manually operate it a couple of times there. You don't need the second end up on the hub seats on the valve. Yeah, I'm installing it though. Yeah, well, that's all right. But here we are. We have all 5 of them in place. And so we have it. We have a resurfaced, refurbished, as far as I can do it, head. And I'm ready to do a final cleanup on that surface and put it to the side so we can do valve ring in gap. So with that in mind, okay, I'm going to say thanks for watching, and we'll see you on the next live when we do it, okay? Have a good day, everybody.